How's everybody doing? This is Richard Johnson, your host of The Power Within, and I'm bringing you episode 18 of The Power Within. I'm very, very excited to be here. So, guys, I want to try something new. I want to start these episodes off with some quotes, and I just picked up a book of quotes from the 10X Rule from Grant Cardone. So, we're going to go through some of those. The first quote in this book is work like you are getting paid 10 times your wildest dreams. Now, that quote can mean a lot because a lot of people only work for what they feel they're getting paid. Whereas if you work what you know you're worth and you work up the ladder, you're going to get paid what you want to get paid. And you can move up and make your dreams a reality. So, episode 18, we're going to be talking about something that you can use to get paid your wildest dreams. And that is when you build successful habits. Okay. So, we're going to be talking about habits of successful people. Now, one thing that a lot of successful people do is that they have morning routines. And I've seen different sides to this. I've seen some people that say, don't worry about a morning routine, just start working. I've seen other people that say, definitely have a morning routine. I, for one, I like to have a morning routine. Some things may change very, very, very minor with my morning routine. Um, but a morning routine, you want to have something that forces you to get out of bed. Some people will set their alarm on their phone or get an actual alarm clock, and they'll set their alarm clock further away from their bed so that it forces them to get up. I, for one, do pretty good at when my alarm goes off, I can get out of bed. Most of the time, I get up within like a minute of my alarm clock going off, and I just decide to go ahead and get my day started. So, my morning routine looks something like this. So, uh, typically, I wake up before it goes off, um, and I'll get my phone. If it's before my alarm goes off, I'll get my phone, open it up, turn my alarm off, just because at that point I don't need it, and I will go and get some ice cold water and start drinking some water because it helps wake me up in the morning, gets me refreshed from sleeping, and um, I'll either, depending on my feeling that day, sometimes I'll jump in a book and start reading. Other times I'll start listening to some motivational podcasts just to start my morning on a positive note. Um, and I typically have anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour um, to do this, just to get my mindset right, and then I'll jump in the shower. Some days I'll have to. I am bald, so some days I'll have to shave my head. Other days I won't have to shave my head, but I shower and I have a routine in the shower as well with hygienic products and things like that, just to help wake me up, get my skin moisturized. My me being bald and shaving, I need to make sure that my uh, skin on my scalp is moisturized and feels good. And it overall is just one of those things where when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you look good. Um, and I like feeling that way. So that is the basis of my morning routine, because once I get out of the shower, it's typically I have anywhere from um, 45 minutes to an hour at that point when I need to um, help get the kids ready. And I like to, if some days my wife may already be up and at work, other days she's not at work yet, she's getting up with me at this point. So I'll help get the kids ready, get our lunches packed, get our son on the bus, and then take our daughter to whichever one of our um, moms is watching her at that point. But having a routine like this, I found that over time you can get things done quicker because you're in a routine. You don't really have to really think about what's going on. So w- I, I I really highly recommend this if you're still working a 9 to 5, because you can get things done a little bit faster and you're not going to feel as rushed. It'll just kind of over time be a natural flow of things. Now, next thing, habits of successful people is improving your work ethic and forming good habits. Um, And this is something that if you're listening to this podcast, you're already working on. So excellent job there. You're getting ahead of the curve. But things that you can do to form good habits. When I say forming good habits is because most habits you're forming that habit because it's something that you don't typically want to do. So, diving in and reading those self-improvement books. One thing that I really need to get into is working out, and we're finishing. I've had it for a little while now, but finishing some touches on our small home gym. Getting up, if you're used to getting up at 6:30 in the morning, set an alarm for 6, set an alarm for 5:45, set an alarm for 5:30. Getting up that little bit earlier is going to give you time, kind of like what I do, give you a little bit of me time, give you time to get in the right mindset, give you time to wake up before everything becomes rush because when you have kids, it can be difficult because you're responsible for more than just yourself. And you want to be mindful of, what you're trying to form with your good habits. So if it's getting up an hour earlier and working out for an hour, if it's getting up and reading self-improvement books for 30 minutes before you have to get ready for work and getting the kids ready, be mindful of that and track how many days you're doing it because I know it can be difficult. So maybe at first it's not going to be an everyday thing. Maybe you are able to do it 3 or 4 days a week or 2 or 3 days a week. However many days it is, it's definitely a win. um, but you do want to be mindful of it because it can take up to 21 days doing something repeatedly before it becomes a habit. The next thing that I want to talk about is something that I've talked about many times, and that is removing time wasting habits. And this is hard. I'm still not perfect at this, but I'm better than I used to be. We all spend so much time, what many call doom scrolling, TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And a lot of this, why it's not a great habit, is because we have social media that the algorithm is told to put content in front of us that does absolutely nothing for you or your mind or your mindset, and it's just ultimately just wasted time just watching it, right? And we all have things like I've been an avid gamer for years. I still, to this day, um, I do watch, keep up with like the new games that are coming out. My kids play video games. I play video games, not nearly as much as I used to, because when I was in high school, face it, I'll admit I used to play video games like 8 to 10 hours a day when I was in high school. Definitely not nowhere near that time spent now, but it is something that I do enjoy doing. And so, being mindful of the time that you're spending on things that don't further you with your mindset, don't further you with your career or your marriage, your relationship with your kids and things like that. Like just being mindful of that because let's face it, we all can sit here and say that we don't have enough hours in the day. But if we were to download an app that tracked what apps we spend and how many minutes we spend on those apps, I can guarantee that we would all find that we probably spend 30 to 40 hours a month minimum scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Facebook. Um, uh, some probably more than that. So, is not to just kind of kick in the butt, but I'm just saying these are things that you can do to find like, okay, I've got all this time here. Let me do something more productive with that time. So, successful people remove the habits that are just wasting their time. And then this, the other thing, this goes into kind of what I've spoke about before, but successful people spend a lot of time reading. Warren Buffett spends at least 6 hours a day reading, and I've seen some of the stuff that this guy reads, um, and it's crazy to me, but it's information and knowledge that he wants to have. Like I was watching a podcast the other day, and I do not remember who was on the podcast, so I apologize, but someone said that they were at Warren Buffett's house and he was reading like a financial statement for General Motors from like 1959 or something, um, because he wanted to know why that was like their best year. I forget exactly what year it was. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but like this guy is like all on the information that he wants, and that's what makes Warren Buffett who he is, right? So, you know, reading, and this may be something that, if you absolutely hate it, get audiobooks. But I do really recommend actually reading because, what is on audio format, when you're just listening to it in the car, it is pretty hard to retain it. Whereas if you read it or are writing it as you can take notes and highlight and things like that, it can definitely help you retain what you are reading. Um, I just finished Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk, um, which is more so a book on, with my podcast, I want to start using social media to help it grow. So Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk gave me a lot of great insight on how to use social media to start growing my podcast, and it is helping. And just once I finished that, I picked up a book by David Goggins, and I spent about an hour today reading that. I read 15% of it. I read on Kindle, so it gives me like an update on the percentage, but I read 15% of the book on the Kindle today, and that book is superb. But anyways, the information that you can get from reading can go a long way. So if you're wanting to um, work on your mindset, there's books on mindset. If you want to work on physical health, there's books that you can get that can help you with your physical health. Like, there are so much information out there that you can get. So find a way to include that into your daily habits so you can begin becoming better every single day. Because that, if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested in this podcast, your ultimate goal must be that you want to get better every single day. And that's why I'm on the journey as well. I'm getting better every single day, right alongside side you. So these are just some things that I'm working on, some things that I've picked up from other podcasters and entrepreneurs that I follow, just overlooking the habits that they have. Because if you want to become successful, you have to start modeling what successful people do. And if successful people are reading and cutting out time from scrolling TikTok, and they are, taking care of their body and everything like that, that must be a good track to be on if you too want to become successful, right? So, guys, again, my name is Richard Johnson. This is the Power Within podcast. If you would like to reach out to me with any questions that you might have, or any topics that you'd like to cover, you can contact me directly at podcast.thepowerwithin@gmail.com. Again, that is podcast.thepowerwithin@gmail.com. You can send any questions directly there. Also, this podcast will have a poll in the show notes that you can comment anything that you want to let me know there as well. If you like this show, the best way that you can help this show grow would be to share to your favorite social media and leave me a 5-star review on Spotify or the platform that you're currently listening on. That would go a long way to help the show grow. Until next time, guys, have an absolutely amazing day. And remember, we all have what it takes to become successful. The power is within us. We just need to learn how to unlock it. Let's go.